Welcome to the Building Thriving Lifestyles podcast. I am your host, Eiki Lóttóttir, and on this podcast, we're going to cover all topics related to help you build your thriving lifestyles. We're both going to incorporate some actionable advice and shorter episodes, but we'll also go more in depth and do some longer interviews with people who have already built a thriving lifestyle for themselves. I can't wait to share more with you. Hey guys, and welcome to the first guest on air episode of the Building Thriving Lifestyles podcast. I was lucky enough to get Jean Winter, a dear friend and a mentor of mine, and a huge role model when it comes to leading with intention and with your values at heart. I got Jean to sit down with me, even though she's an extremely busy and successful consultant and entrepreneur, to share with me how she uses her values to guide her, where some of those values come from, and how she kind of uses them to navigate through life. I really hope that you enjoy this conversation that was really deep, but also really applicable to other people. So I hope you find some inspiration in it. I know for sure that I did. And yeah, enjoy. Welcome, Jean, and thank you so much for sitting down with me for this podcast.
I can't wait.
I'm so excited. So even though I know you really well, I'm really excited to see some of your answers to these questions, to kind of get to know you a little bit better on a little bit of a different note.
I know. Thank you so much for having me today. And because I love you and what you do, I can't wait to share a deeper part of the stories between us.
Amazing. So even though I know you, how would you explain your life to a complete stranger that had never met you before?
Oh, I think there's so many facets to my life. First of all, as a mom, as a wife, and also a business owner of multiple business in different industries, which are very, very different, and they sometimes do not even relate to each other. So I think a lot of people see me and not understand what I do, because I do so much and in so many industries that sometimes I just find it easier to tell people, I'm a housewife or I'm just Jean.
That's exactly what you told me to begin with. You were like, I'm a housewife. And then afterwards I was like, wait a minute, there is something more behind this.
Yeah.
So what are kind of the typical businesses that you're dabbling in? What do you...
Well, I think in my entire life, other than the first job I landed in outside, immediately after university, because I was on a scholarship. So the first job I landed in was already pre-decided for me as a scholar from Singapore. And that was when I was lecturing in college to college kids in Singapore for the first 6 years. And after which, that was when things started to change, because I pretty much carved out what I wanted in life, because what I wanted to do did not exist during my time. And it was, of course, I come from a typical Asian background where my parents, being typical Chinese parents, said, are you crazy? That doesn't exist. How are you going to find a job? And this was more than 25 years ago. I said, I will start my own. And the challenges ever since then, pretty much till today, is starting jobs that do not fit into the normal niche or typical industry molds, where all my jobs come under a specific drop-down list that exists. None of my jobs have a drop-down list. And this is why in majority of my businesses, I don't even have a website. I don't have, everything is by word of mouth. And it has been and always been for the past 20 over years till today.
So today, which company is it that you operate today that has a name and a website?
There's only one. Well, two, but I'll tell you about the last one. The last one is the newest company I started, which is called Touch Dubai, which I started during COVID. And that one is the only one that I actively started knowing that I needed a website and an Instagram page for the purpose of informing the wider community about what I do, because the rest of my businesses are very niche. It's very tied to the political and diplomatic community or government sectors where it's by word of mouth. So it's very niche. So people find me. I don't have to look for them. Whereas for Touch, it's a community-based business where we want to generate or help to encourage kindness in the community, not just in Dubai, but globally. And that was why there was that only need to start a website and Instagram for that outreach purpose. So that's the only one.
So that's been very different experience for you, I guess.
Completely.
Diving into it. Totally. So you are Chinese background, Singaporean raised, but you live in Dubai.
Whoa.
So whoa. There is something missing there.
Yes. I'm Singaporean. I'm a Singaporean Chinese.
Singaporean Chinese. Okay, that's the way around.
So
politically correct way around.
Exactly,
yes. Okay, fair enough. Noted. Yeah. And tell me a little bit more. Like, did you grow up then fully in Singapore? Did you move around?
So I'm Singaporean. Mom and dad Singaporean. I come from a very small ethnic group in Asia called the Peranakans. So it's not as heard of in the wider community, but we are very much known within Asia. I was born and brought up in Singapore. It was only after marriage to my husband, Andrew, where he started having to move for the purpose of his job for shipping, that we started moving. So we have been on the move for the past, I would say, 18 years. Our kids were born in Italy. We have a house in France, Geneva region. They went to school in Italy, France, Germany, Hamburg, and now Dubai. Yep. So we are pretty international in terms of our pets as well as our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a good description of it. Yeah. So what do you like to do when you're not working, sleeping, or eating? What does Jean like to do?
I like to be with friends. I like to be with happy people.
Yeah.
I like to do things that make me happy. I'm actually a really simple person in terms of I don't need a lot to make me happy.
No.
What makes me happy is spending time that matters. So as long as it's time that matters, I don't really care if it's sitting on the sofa with my daughter, talking about her day, or with a friend, or with someone that needs me. I'm happy as doing something I know that in my short time left in the world, it's impacting someone
else
for the better.
So
that makes me happy.
Yeah. So that's your kind of like quality time with others. That's your main source of happiness.
Yes.
So what do you think, if you think about your kind of lifestyle in all, then you've tried a lot of different things, I imagine, with living in different countries and so on. What do you find that is your major thing that you take with you everywhere you go? Something that you...
Relationships. That's a fast one. And it's funny because I'm the complete opposite of my husband, right? If he spends too much time with people, it finds that it drains him. Like after a big social night, he's like, okay, I need like the next 10 days to rest.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I thrive on being with people, by happy people.
Happy people.
I can't do negatives. I don't do drama. I don't like negative vibes. I like all my life. I've always been very smiley. I've been very happy, very giggly. Even in school, I will always be in trouble, not because I was creating trouble, but because I was laughing too much.
Just having too good of a time, really.
Yeah. I mean, even in the gym, if I ever get scolded by coaches, it's because I'm laughing when people are being serious with workouts.
I can vouch for that one, but it's not necessarily a negative one. It's just like, Jean, hello, can we focus?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So as long as you have kind of a good group of people around you, then you're kind of thriving. Is there other elements to it? What else do you need to kind of make sure that you're on the right track?
I try to, in everything I do, I try to make sure that I'm very thoughtful in not just the outcomes, but also in impacting the immediate surrounding.
Mhm.
So I thrive, and maybe that's from my background, because that's how my mom brought my brother and myself up. There's only two of us. So
Mhm.
mom has always brought us up to say that, in life, it's not about what you do for yourself,
No,
but it's always what you do that impact others that should matter in your life.
absolutely.
And I don't know if that has an impact on my, how I lead my everyday life, but other than making sure that there is a community impact, I always make sure that there is
That you leave something
a
behind.
sustainable impact, not just a one-off impact.
Mhm.
So whatever I do, even right down to relationships, when
Yep.
I form a relationship, it's usually a lifelong relationship.
Mhm.
I don't make friends for the sake of making friends.
No.
So when I make a friend, it's a thoughtful decision that, oh, you're nice, let's be friends. And most of my relationship
Mhm.
lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I'm still friends with my friends from childhood, primary
Mhm.
school, secondary school, university, diving, work, pretty much everyone.
Yeah, you're very good at harvesting and nurturing a relationship. I would definitely say that's one of your strengths that I
hope
admire.
so.
That I admire, and
hope
definitely
so.
something that I want
I
to
hope
learn
so.
from you.
That's something I'm hoping to pass on to my kids.
Yes, I hope they're
My
learning it
daughters.
too, and all
I
your
hope so.
other half daughters and friends, I guess.
Exactly. All my adopted children
All
and
your adopted
community around
children.
the world. Exactly.
Absolutely. What are your main values that guide you? Are you aware of your values? Is that something you practice regularly?
I think that's two very different questions.
Mm-hmm.
What are my values versus do I practice them regularly? Because my values are kindness and love.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what, again, I try to teach the people I mentor as well as my children.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say practice, because when you say practice, when you say practice, it means you have to work hard at it. But if it becomes,
it can
for
be
me,
both. Yeah, okay,
personally,
okay.
yes.
I understand. I respect that.
But for me, because for me, love and kindness
Mm-hmm.
should be inculcated into a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if it becomes a lifestyle, you don't have to think twice about practicing it because you're living it.
Yeah.
So
But
for
I
me,
mean, some
yeah.
people are obviously they have some value, but they may or may not be a little bit disconnected from them in different periods of their life. So I think that's maybe why I chose the word
Yeah.
practice. But maybe it's better to ask, how do you integrate your values into your life?
If you believe it and
Mhm.
if you live it, then it's pretty much a part of your lifestyle. You don't have to think twice about it.
No.
So it's like me teaching my daughters. For me, we can only advise and mentor and guide, but the outcomes are unpredictable depending on individuals. So, in teaching, we always say that if you believe in something truly enough, you start living that lifestyle.
Living it, yeah.
Or you start living it.
Mhm.
And I think that is how I see how I value the things that I value.
Mhm.
I try to live it.
Mhm.
There you
Is
go.
there anything in your values that has changed in the recent years? Have you adopted any new ones?
I think, to be honest, my not newest, but something where I have learned to be more aware of
Mhm.
is actually what it means to be truly inclusive.
Mhm.
Inclusion. My family has always brought me up to be inclusive,
Mhm.
as best as what my mom and dad understood at that time.
Yeah.
And I grew up a certain way with my mindset.
Mhm.
But I had to learn how to be inclusive during my own time, and now to be progressively learning what true inclusion is, even from speaking to my kids, because my generation understands inclusion very differently from the younger generation. And I'll be the first to admit that
Mm.
I was not truly inclusive, even though I thought I was.
Mhm.
So even learning it's a progress, and it's a lifetime of learning.
Mhm.
And that's the only constant that I think a lot of people need to realize, that change is the only constant in our life.
That's so true.
There you go.
That's so true.
So
Can you
inclusion is the newest
Yeah.
value for me. Yeah.
Can you share with us or share with me any inclusion that has surprised you? Something where you came to a closed door in your own mind, or something that was like eye-opening for you?
So the most recent would be starting of touch. I think for a lot of people, inclusion just talks, their first go-to is including people who are disabled, whether
Mhm.
physically or mentally. But true inclusion pretty much includes everything from acceptance of people of multiple beliefs, whatever they might be, religious
Mhm.
or personal beliefs,
Mhm.
and accepting that people can be different. But
Mm.
inherently, we all share the same blood. It doesn't matter if you have different values,
Mm.
different beliefs, different principles. You can agree to disagree and
Yeah.
still come together as friends. And I
Absolutely.
think if the world sees values as being able to accept differences, but
Mhm.
still come together in love and kindness,
Mhm.
the world will be a very different place.
Mm. I was going to say, at least me straight into the next one, which is, how do you think that your values are different from other people's values? Not that, like, I'm not asking you necessarily to compare it,
Yeah.
but do you think your mindset is common? Do you think it's uncommon?
I can't speak for other people. I'll just speak about how different my husband
Yeah.
and I are, and how just between personal talks, I can speak for my family.
Mm.
So when my husband met me 20 years ago, he kind of found my family a bit strange
Mhm.
because my mom was taking in stray cats, stray dogs, humans off the street. And I remember this was 20 years ago when he said, please don't turn out like mom.
Mm.
And I pretty much turned out like my mom and more. And, so even as a close couple of 20 years, our value systems are so different.
Mhm.
I'm not saying different good, different bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
Because we all as individuals place different importance and different levels of importance on different value sets.
Yep.
So for me, for example, kindness must always override any decisions you make.
Mhm.
Even though it may be an angry decision,
Yep.
you can still find kindness. So for
In it,
example,
yeah.
driving down Checkside Road,
Yes.
Andrew, my husband's reactions to horrible drivers are very
Yeah.
different from mine.
Yeah.
So if he's driving, his first reaction is to press the horn
Yeah.
and not lift his hands. And that stresses me out
Mhm.
because my reaction would be, okay, slam on the brakes. If there's no accident, fine. My life goes on.
Yeah.
I'm angry, but I keep it within me.
Mhm.
Now, problem starts when I am driving,
Yeah.
but Andrew's sitting beside me, and a very unthoughtful driver, thoughtless driver, cuts in front of me, nearly causing accident, or be thoughtless in his actions.
Mhm.
And Andrew decides to sound my horn for me when I'm driving.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
That is a
fine.
problem. Yeah. So you would like to
So-
lead with a little bit more kindness in this situation and give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, and I'm just like, oh, if it doesn't affect my life, really, move
What's
on.
the effort? Yeah.
Yes. Whereas for Andrew, it's like he needs to know at that point in time he's not doing the right thing because he may cause an accident to someone else.
Yeah.
So
his teaching is different.
yes. And this pretty much, that's just a small example.
Mm.
But if you actually magnify this to your everyday life, be it couples, friends, in the gym, at the workplace, in a restaurant,
Bigger societies as well.
bigger societies, and this is where problems occur
Mm.
because we all place different importance on different values and all of us react differently.
Mm.
But because people as a wider community can't accept that people are all different and we have to live with a much more open mind.
Yeah.
I may be having a really good day. You may be having a really bad day. But if we happen to clash on that one day, an unkind word may affect a relationship that will last a lifetime.
Sometimes just a smile or any kind of positive interaction
might change things as well.
Absolutely.
So when I'm really, really upset, I'm one of those that keeps quiet because I choose rather not to speak than say something that might be hurtful that I might mean at that second, but I might regret 5 seconds later. But words, I always teach my kids the same thing. Words are very, very dangerous because once they come out, you can't take them back in.
No.
You can try and say sorry, but the negative impact and hurt that it creates,
it's already
there. So it's like a cracked vase, you know? You can drop it, you can glue it back together, but the crack is there.
Yeah.
It will never be the same.
No.
So that's about being thoughtful about words.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you lead with the kindness and give people the benefit of the doubt.
I try my best.
And minimize the negative impact. I think those are some really good kind of life hack strategies you have there. Definitely.
I don't know. I'm just speaking off my head.
No, absolutely. It's so good.
You know.
So good. What have you done when you face challenges in life? Is there a particular way you go about it? You mentioned that you stay quiet when you're in a bad mood. Are you head first dive into the problems? Do you stay a little bit more behind? Do you have a strategy when challenges knock on the door?
So, for example, people think I'm great at reels, but they don't realize I take a long time to learn how to do a reel. Why? Because I don't want to spend money on hiring someone to do my reels.
To do your social media for you. Yeah.
And why? Because if I have money, I'd rather use that money to feed a family that has no food. It's funny. So when I come home and I buy lots of flowers, Andrew knows that I probably have had a stressful day. So I'll go and buy flowers. I like to look at pretty things.
Pretty things, yeah.
Pretty, but mostly flowers. I love flowers. Flowers and plants calm me down.
Yeah.
Or friends. So again, I drive back to comfort, you know. I find comfort in happy things, pretty things. But my pretty things are not necessarily shoes or diamonds. No, my pretty things are really simple. It's flowers and plants. And that has never changed all my life. In fact, when I was in Iceland, when we went on hikes, I drove my husband crazy because he'd be 15 minutes ahead of me and I'm at the back just plucking flowers and weeds and wildflowers. I really think make me happy, or just standing there staring at the different colors of a simple flower. And he was like, "Why are you still behind?" I'm like, "I'm looking at this flower. I've never seen this before." So, how do I deal with stress? It depends. So if I have some stressful decision to make at that point in time, my mind works very funny. Because my mind, I'm able to extract what the problem is or what is expected for me at that moment in time. And in my head, 5 different alternatives or paths or impacts. If I make this decision, this is the outcome. So I will have all the possible decisions and outcomes flashing in my head. And then I'll make one. If I'm supposed to make a decision on the spot, I'm usually very fast to make one decision. And then I'll live by that decision, whether it's right or wrong. Yeah.
But is there something that guides you in terms of like option 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
I'm very rational and objective.
Yeah.
If it's business, when it comes to people, I'm horrible. Okay. So when it comes to business, I make very rational decisions, always honest. Always objective, always very transparent. So in my life, I'm very transparent in that sense.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, veto that one.
I'm very black and white. If I'm upset, I'm upset. If I'm happy, I'm happy, which is 75 or 80% of the time. But I'm always driven by objectiveness, fairness, honesty, and the decision that would create the least negative impact in every sense. So if you think about it, even in a business sense, that works.
Yeah.
You know, but with humans, I think that's my Achilles heel.
Or still a work in progress. Work in progress. Can we agree on work in progress, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Andrew always tells me, oh, why is it with relationships they're so soft? I always get driven by the heart over the head. So, for example, when we were in Geneva, I had to find a housekeeper. And I had 2 young kids. I needed someone to help me. So in Geneva, it's very different from Dubai, where house help is cheap. In Geneva, you are pretty much hiring someone for a proper position. So my housekeeper only looked after the house. My housekeeper doesn't do babysitting. My housekeeper doesn't iron. So we had to get someone else to iron. And our housekeeper comes in at a minimum of, how much did we pay? 2,005 euros. And so we have to have a criteria list. My criteria list and Andrew's were very similar to start.
Yeah.
But by the end, the housekeeper I picked, Andrew was like, why? I was like, because she needed the job the most. Yeah. Not because she was the best at the job, because she needed it the most. She needed the money the most. And Andrew was like, oh my God, you're a disaster when it comes to this. I was like, I know. But it always works out because I'm still friends with her today.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's pretty much how my life has been. It's very unpredictable.
Yeah. So the personal side and the business gene and personal gene, they're two a little bit separate, led by the same values, but in a different way. Yeah.
But the good thing is, in a lot of my business, no one has quit yet in that sense. The businesses that I run, everyone has stuck with me. No one has left because I look after them like they're my family. And that is also, I think, a guiding force in how I run things. The sustainability of relationships, because I think that is very, very undervalued in this world. Money doesn't buy everything. So for me, that's the least of my worries.
Yeah. And so it's more about building that relationship with your employees and the trust between the two of you to kind of sustain it forward. Yeah.
100%.
Can you tell me something that you have done in your business career or personal life that you feel particularly proud of?
I try to be proud of every decision I make. I guess I can be proud that I forged a path for the unknown in every business that I have started myself. When people tell me it's impossible, it's never been done, and I've done it.
It's like fuel to the fire.
Yes. And I like proving people wrong. I guess I always have that little rebellious, I'm the nicest person, but I always have this rebellious streak. And even at 46 years old, my dad, my mom, even my husband tells me, once you set your mind on something, there's no changing you, is there? I said, no.
Not really, no.
No. So I'm proud that I can be a living proof that labels are created by humans, or regulations or rules, or the possibility of what success means. I have pretty much shown that there are other ways of viewing success. It may not be the traditional way, it may not be the conventional way, but success is success. At the end of the day, if I achieve the same results, but through different means, that is success.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah. How do you define success for yourself?
Being able to reach my goals whilst being happy, whilst still being a good mom and wife.
Yeah.
And if I can, and a friend. And for me, I think I've always placed a huge importance on friendship.
Mhm.
And I've always been like that since I was a child.
Mhm.
And I still remember mom telling me when I was 7, 10, at different stages in life, she says, I'm not surprised one day if you get into trouble because of your friends. You stick by
Yeah.
them so loyally. Sometimes it's senseless. And I used to get scolded because I would stick to my friends no matter what.
Yeah.
And I would be very, fiercely loyal to my friends. And if my mom says anything about anybody, I'll be there. It's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have a balance
Mhm.
for me is a very, very important aspect of what success means to me.
Yeah. Balance between what?
Your career, your social life, and sports. Basically, not losing yourself to any one aspect of life and then forgetting about the rest.
Mhm.
And you see, sometimes when you're too absorbed to just one area, for example, new mothers who are just so zoomed into being a mother, they forget that they have other roles to fulfill as a wife, for themselves, time for themselves as well. It's, for me, having a balance whilst achieving success is very important, because that for me is a critical factor that adds on to your success.
Got you.
Yeah.
I really like that answer. It's like keeping the balance between all your different roles, not getting too sucked into one, and kind of remembering the other things as well.
Yeah.
What is your biggest motivation to succeed? Do you have something that you're particularly striving for? Do you remember anyone that impacted your
My
drive?
inspiration and motivation, very different.
Yeah.
My inspiration has always been my parents, because my dad came from a really, really poor background. And my parents were very unconventional parents as well. They taught to me values through actions rather than just speaking. And this is where I think I hold that very true, even for myself today, that as a role model or a mentor, you don't just say, you need to do. A lot of people say, but they don't follow up by doing.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times I don't have time to say because I'm too busy doing. And I think by doing, you actually show people what you want them to see or do or inspire them to do. And that means a lot more than someone who speaks a lot and says a lot, or who is a very good motivational speaker but has nothing to back up. So for me, my greatest inspiration or I'll start with inspiration, are my parents, because all my life I've seen them do.
Yeah.
They are not big speakers. They do. And the impact that they've created for their immediate and wider community has been amazing. I didn't understand it growing up. I thought they were crazy because they did not fit into the mold of all my other friends' parents.
Yeah.
And they're always doing something different. And I'm pretty much that parent now for my girls. They're like, oh, why is mommy so different? Oh, mom again. It's like today turning up at school and me running up to give her a big hug in front of the rest of the student population. She's like, mommy, But yeah, and then motivator, my motivation, even as I was a young child, or not young, I mean, I think it hit me in my 19s. I don't want to live a life that I would regret.
Yep.
And I think that stems again from what my mom used to tell me for herself.
Yep.
She said, darling, don't, because this sounds so morbid. My mom is always at funerals.
Yeah.
For people close to her or not close to her. If she can, she'll always be there as a source of support for someone else.
Yeah.
And I remember this conversation I had with my mom growing up, and she said, when it's my turn, I don't want you to be weeping for the fact that I'm gone. I want you to celebrate mommy's life and remember what I did as a person, as opposed to crying that I'm gone. And she said, and by the way, and this is typical mom, Asian moms, all right? She said, and by the way, if you don't spend your time with me when I'm alive, don't waste your time crying for me when I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's just,
That's such
you
a
know,
harsh
and
reality, but it's also
that
such
is
a
the
lovely
harsh
sentence.
reality,
Yeah.
you know, and that has always stayed with me. And my mom, completely different from my dad, has always pushed me to live the best and most exciting life. My dad is always like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Stop giving me a heart attack. Why are you doing this again, Jean?
Yeah.
Really? Why? Why don't you just lead the conventional life of being a good Chinese girl, good Chinese daughter, you know?
And you're like, you didn't
Whereas,
raise me like that. I can't. You didn't
no,
raise
my
me like
mom
that.
didn't raise me like this. And my mom always says, if you have a life, live it to the fullest. And my motivation, and as I grow older, I think that I keep saying, okay, now I'm 46, I'm turning 47. How many more years can I have left? Do I have left to actually actively impact people and live? And impact does not mean being successful in my life. It can be quietly helping someone, you know? And with age, I realized that that is playing a bigger and bigger role in my life. Like, I wake up and I go, okay, I've done this much. How much can I do more? Have I exhausted my abilities to impact change as much as I can in whatever life I have left? You know, and that is my motivation. Can I do more? Am I doing enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned your mom's motivation with not crying at the funeral if you didn't spend time with me in real life. A little bit morbid question, but after you were gone, what would you like people to remember you for?
So I think I had this conversation with my daughters.
Yeah.
Again, I see myself as an Asian mom. And I've always said, you know, if I'm gone, I don't want people to remember Jean as a successful businesswoman. I mean, what's that? I want people to remember Jean as the friend who loves flowers, the friend who smiles, the friend who was always there.
Yeah.
The mom that loved me.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday, Tiggy, my youngest, came back after school, and I told Andrew that at midnight last night in bed because I came back late from an event. She came back at 3:30 and she came into the study and she said, "Mommy, I need to tell you something." And Tiggy is not one to speak a lot. She does, I mean, but she's not someone that emotes her emotions a lot. So she was very awkward when she came into the room. And she said, "Mommy, I need to tell you something." I said, "What?" And she said, "Oh, but it's very awkward." And then, of course, in my mind, I was like, "Oh, what possibly could come up?"
Yeah.
And I was like bracing myself, you know, I was like, just tell me already. And she said, with a very awkward face, she said, "I had 3 friends that came up to me." And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "That said that you're such a cool mom, that I was so lucky to have such a cool mom." And that totally threw me off because I wasn't expecting. No. And I was like, "Oh, how?" You know, and they said, "Oh, they were at a talk that you attended and they just came up to tell me." And I remembered telling her, I said, "Tiggy, can mommy ask you a question?" And I said, "Did mommy make you proud?" And she said, "Yes."
There was a big approval there.
Yes. And I told her, I remember what I told her after that. I said, "You know, that doesn't make mommy happy." I said, "The most important question is, do you know mommy loves you?" And I think that caught her off guard. And she said, "Yes." I said, "That's most important to me. Whatever your friends think doesn't matter. But if it makes you proud, that's an add-on."
Yeah.
But for me,
bonus.
As a mom, if my children knows that I love them above anything else, above my career, above my job, that for me is success. As a parent.
And what you would like to be remembered for, in a sense?
So for different people, for different things. With you, a good friend, a supportive friend. For my daughters, a very good mom. For my husband, a good wife. for the wider community, someone that stood up for their rights when no one else believed in their rights.
Mhm.
So I guess I want to be remembered for different things, but things that matter,
Mhm.
things that matter to me.
Yeah.
So it may not be the same thing. Someone else might want to be remembered for their successful career or
Mhm.
how much they've achieved, how many companies they built, or I don't know. For me, it's very simple things. Being a
Yeah.
good friend, a good mom, a good wife.
Mhm. That's
That's it.
I really like that as a definition. And like you said, it's vastly different between people when you ask them this question. So thank you so much for answering that honestly. On
Yeah.
a teeny tiny bit lighter note, what do you
Yeah.
consider the best part of your day and why? What's your favorite part of the day?
Getting my hugs, I guess.
Yeah, physical touch.
Mm.
I feel like we've gone a full circle of all your different love language with like quality time and gifts with flowers, and we're onto the physical touch. A couple of hugs, they don't hurt.
Yeah. So
Mm,
I'm a hugger, and
yeah.
even at home,
Mhm,
uh, with friends, as you know,
mhm.
I don't really care if you're in the middle of a class, I'll run up to hug you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So for me, it's like if it takes a second,
Hmm.
that
So those
second
are.
might make someone's day and make
Mhm.
my own day.
Yeah.
So if I go up and give 10 hugs, I feel
Mhm.
good 10 times a day.
Yeah.
And if I get 15 hugs, then it's just an added 15 times a day that I feel better than I'm already feeling. So
That's amazing that you have kind of little moments of joy throughout the day.
yeah, exactly. Spread it out.
But it
So even
almost
if it's,
directs me straight into the next question is like, how did you make it through COVID then if you were not allowed to hug everyone at all times?
oh man, my poor family got a lot of me.
No, okay, got you.
And of course, when I adopted Marla and Simba, they got lots of my hugs.
Got you.
And it's quite funny because during COVID, I was sending a lot of virtual hugs to
Yeah.
people I love.
Yeah.
So a lot of my send off
Hmm.
is sending love.
Mhm.
Even actually, now that you're making me think about it,
Yeah.
when I signed off on Instagram or WhatsApps or emails, if it's not too formal, I always signed off as sending
Hugs.
hugs, sending love, or miss
Yeah.
you. That's for me, that's more important than
Mhm.
signing off as okay, bye. I mean, what the hell is okay, bye? You know. So,
I think me and Andrew, we're on that page. I really struggle with seeing myself sending hugs.
I know. And that's my father. Gosh. My father all my life. When my dad sends me a
Mhm.
WhatsApp
Mhm.
or email, he signs off as yours sincerely, Dad. I'm like the complete opposite. And I'll sign off my dearest daddy. So I'll go the other extreme.
Yeah.
So I'll reply to him,
Mhm.
my daddy dearest, and I'll sign off your beautiful princess or something,
Yeah.
And I'm still doing that today.
Yeah.
Just to add an element of craziness and
Yeah.
complete opposites
Into that.
to my dad.
Extremely formal. But I love that you found a way to kind of channel your hugs into your virtual communication during COVID. That's definitely, I mean, that is in part, the thing.
Oh
we
my God.
have
But
to get
in
our fix.
COVID, people, I think, just didn't know what to do with me. So when we first entered the gym, people had to like, Jean, it's COVID, and I'll forget. Because
Yeah.
the moment I see people, my natural reaction is to
Is
run
to
up
hug
to hug them.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, Gina, it's COVID. I'm like, oh, sorry.
sorry.
So I think I was apologizing a lot.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
sending even more virtual hugs to make sure you got your fix.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is there anything that you
Oh.
feel like we haven't touched on in terms of you kind of living a whole life? Is there anything that is important to you that we've not brushed on?
Important to me,
Mhm.
I think we have touched on because, like I said, I'm so easy to read.
I don't know about that. I think that's one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you is because I'm like, I really want to know what's underneath because
I know.
Yeah, I can definitely see some of your values, and I knew some of them, but there's some of them that were definitely surprised me today.
Yeah,
In terms of like just digging down a little bit more, how the integrity comes from your parents, and how you live out those values in your daily life.
because that's the one thing
Mm.
my parents have always taught me. And you know what was scary? My parents meant it.
Yeah.
Because my mom used to tell me, if you ever commit a crime
Mm.
or a mistake, I can guarantee you I'll be the first to call the police on you.
Mm.
And that was how I was brought up. And I
Yeah.
know my mom ain't taking.
No.
And this is also the reason why I'm 46 and still scared of mom.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of many people in life. I'm scared of mom. It's like, ugh.
But she keeps you honest and accountable, and I feel like from what I know you, the honesty and accountability is quite high in that one.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I think this also holds true to even the staff.
Mm-hmm.
In how I run businesses or
Mm-hmm.
organizations. I've always said that I need people working me to be real.
Mm.
And in realness, it means raw.
Yep.
Not being afraid to show the weaker side. Am I perfect? No, far from it.
Mm.
Far from it. I'm not perfect. I'll be the first to say.
Mm-hmm.
There will be days where I just can't function, meaning if I'm saddened by something, it's gonna. You see, the problem with me, I'll tell you, bringing back to my weakness, right?
Mm.
I seldom allow anything to get me down. Seldom.
Yep.
But if something gets me down, because it takes so much to get me down, it takes me a long time to recover and to get over it. And that is my biggest weakness, I think.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious for my husband, for my kids, for my friends, that bit I need to strengthen myself, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all allowed to be down every now and then. I don't think it's realistic to expect that nothing gets to us. But how have you kind of dealt with it? Is there something that you've been testing or trying to kind of get you out of there, or limit the amount of occasions, or?
Holy crap, I don't like this question.
No? Okay.
No, because the thing is this. I really mean it when things seldom get me down, because that drives Andrew crazy as well, my husband. He was like, how can you not get annoyed by that? I was like, because it doesn't affect my life at the end of the day. After 10 minutes, I mean, if you can change the situation, then change it. If you can't change it, then why is there? Don't stress over it. Just find a solution to it, So really, very, very few things get me down. But how do I get out of it? I'm still learning. That's my answer.
That's a good
I'm still
answer.
in a process of learning, because certain things have gotten me down in the past few years. I'm still trying to learn the process of processing my own emotions. And the toughest thing is not allowing your emotions to affect the things that you love, which I've allowed it to affect my things, because I can't get past certain things that has affected me. It has affected me in other aspects of my life, which I didn't want it to affect, but I did.
Yeah.
But it's also part of navigating your own feelings and learning.
Part of being human, that we can't compartmentalize everything. Even though there's a business gene and a personal gene, then obviously there's going to be some kind of a float between the two.
Yeah.
I got you. But that's interesting. Maybe we'll catch up with you again and see if you found navigation and processes to sort that out.
Yeah, come back in 5 years.
Come back in 5 years. 5 years. Okay, I like that as a goal. We'll have it sorted in 5 years. I really like that. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much, Jean. I don't think I have any more questions for you, but I would encourage everyone to go check out Touch and to check out your social media. Can you tell us where we can find you if we want to know some more?
So personal page is Jean Winter Consultancy. I post about my family, my little bit of exercise when I can find time, and a lot about my pets and
Yeah.
children and just people I love in
Yeah.
general. So this is the thing. I post a lot.
Mhm.
I don't check. I don't have time to check a lot, but I post a lot about what I do, or I try to post to update not just the followers. Actually, when I started social media, it
Mhm.
was not for followers.
No.
It was actually for my friends and family around the world.
Yeah.
Because I moved so much,
Mhm.
it was impossible to keep in contact through WhatsApp or calls with everyone.
Mhm.
So that was pretty much me updating is for them.
Mhm.
And the followers just came along the way.
Mhm.
So that was a byproduct. But
Yeah.
my target audience has
Mhm.
always been and always still is
Mhm.
my family and my own personal friends around the world. And this is the funny thing, because I think I'm very different from the typical social media personnel, right?
You can call yourself an influencer. It's okay. You are an influencer.
No, I'm not. I hate that word. I think I'm allergic to that word. I hate that word.
Okay, not an influencer. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay, not influencer then.
No.
Inspiring person then.
No. So I
Yes,
found this very
also.
cringy. I'm just Jean.
Okay.
And the thing is that I just post so randomly
Mhm.
that people. So what I found really weird after arriving in Dubai was getting DMs, which I don't check half of the time, from people getting upset I don't follow them back. But why? I don't know you. Why should I follow you? But again,
Yeah.
because I'm not in that mindset, I
No.
don't follow people I don't
You
know.
just follow your friends.
Yes.
Yes.
I follow friends, or at least people I like, or
Mhm.
people that I know exist in
Mhm.
this world.
Mhm.
Why would I follow someone random that I don't know? So you can be a very big name following me, but I don't know you. So,
Yeah.
So there's no personal, don't take offense. Get
Yeah.
a life. There are other people, there are bigger things in life than you getting offended. Someone that you don't know is not following you back.
Yeah, that's fair. But your Instagram remains open to the public and everyone
Yes.
can see, but you will
Yes.
mainly interact and follow your friends back. So you can kind of get a little glimpse into your life through social.
Personal life. Very, very personal life.
Mhm.
And also my values, what I believe in, where I spend most of my time, what I spend most of my time doing. And through my stories, I think it gives you a very clear perspective of what drives me, my values. You can see it.
I'll put the link in the description and show notes below so anyone can find it. And I'll put yours contact there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Building Thriving Lifestyles. I encourage you to take 5 minutes to note what was the most important thing that you learned during this episode, and to start taking action on how you're going to incorporate that into your life. If you like more quick and dirty tips on how to build your thriving lifestyle, then make sure to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.